Hello and welcome to another episode of Comprehending Consciousness. My name is Allie with Amory Speaks, and this series is created as a bridging the gap between people who are newly waking up and those of us who've been awake for quite a while. I have created this as a means of giving my own personal sort of tour of the tip of the iceberg with a selected phrase, and then hopefully after we clear just a bit of ground around it and I introduce you to the landscape of it later, you can take your own time at your own pace with your own ideas and go dive off the side and really get to the body of the iceberg under there, and get a look for it yourself and see where you're called to do more exploring to understand things in the ways that it relates to you in your direct world. I really hope and encourage people to look for synchronicities and external validations that come through once you've been introduced to these new kinds of words and topics, especially if you're newly waking up and you're just starting to get a feel for what it means to consciously move through life, to live life awake. It's a whole other experience than living life on autopilot. And I think anybody, even people who aren't really spiritually awake yet, they will resonate and understand what that means, because we all, even super indoctrinated, ignorant kind of people, I hate to use that term, but whatever, like people with real blinders on, just going through life like cattle, sheep, right? Even those people can hear the example of, say, when you're driving and you're lost in your thoughts, and then you end up sort of automatically taking a route you usually do to go somewhere you drive a lot, but that wasn't even your intention of going there, and you end up somewhere else, and how to get over here? Oh man, I forgot I'm supposed to be like going here. That, whatever you were doing while you were driving, that's autopilot, right? That is just going through the motions, and your body intelligence is running the show while your cognitive mind intelligence is off daydreaming somewhere, right? That is a parallel to real life. That is the surface level of such a layered, deeper working that you can get involved in, you can reawaken to, eternally. That's the eternal unfolding of life and of conscious growth and ascension. So yeah, I'm on a tangent again about soul evolution, but it's so inspiring. I find such loving motivation in knowing that that's the plan and in understanding the unfolding that's taking place, to really, do work for yourself and to better yourself. And that's really what I hope with this whole series to be offering people. So if you're new and you're just waking up, then yeah, use these. Today is episode 37, and I'm going to talk about depopulation / overpopulation. Big trigger terms out there on the main stage, on all the screens, right? Really being portrayed and plastered all over the funhouse wall of the Matrix is all of that right now in 2023. It is mid-May 2023, in case you're finding this in the future. But yeah, that's kind of, it seems to be what we're facing a lot right now. It's a big topic. So I thought perfect time to do a quick Comprehending Consciousness episode on it. So yes, if, use this. This can be like your little flag out in your own real life now, later, when you turn off the screens, when you go about your day, next week, in a month, whatever. Notice and try to incorporate more views, more data points to take in around this topic. Notice you will be, flagged to notice this topic more now that you've been looking about it. And I'm sure if you found this on a search, you're not a subscriber or just watching my channel because you like my videos. If maybe you've searched the terms and you found my video, right? I don't know how the algorithms work, and YouTube isn't so friendly, so maybe nobody will find this, but who cares? If you found it, the video is for you, and you are seeking more information around this. So take that knowledge of seeking and try to stay as open-minded and as unbiased with your data collection as possible, right? Remember, this is an exploration. It's a discovery. And if you limit the amount of references you're taking in, you're limiting the conclusions you can make and the assumptions and, how you will perceive things. So as best as you can, even though this term and tons of the terms are really triggering, they have a lot of emotions and energetics kind of wrapped into them, into this rat's nest sort of thing in the matrix, to sort of deter anybody from even doing the digging or the work to see what it is, because most people will just see it's uncomfortable, take it for what it is, and kind of put it off to the side. And that's a very common mechanism in the matrix to do stuff like that. But if you're not scared of it and you can just peel back the layers, not get involved in the emotions of it, just acknowledge they are there and say, okay, later I'm going to figure out why exactly I'm getting these responses back. But for now, let's just, as much as we can, look at the information and take it in. And then allow it to sit on the spectrum. And later, you can use your heart, your truth, your connection to source or God, your higher self, whatever kind of casting of a judgment light that you like to use and envision. You can go through all the information later with that in mind and doing that kind of sorting. But don't stunt yourself, don't go and cherry pick things out there because you think that they align with what you want as the answer. Let's just take everything in and see and assess with honesty, right? That's a big thing about, growing up, maturity, and having this soul evolution I'm talking about, being transparent within yourself, about yourself, in all interactions, as best and as much as you can. And so into the topic at hand here, and I've already talked for 6 minutes, but I always feel I have to give this whole rambling at the beginning, just in case people are new. I don't want to leave anybody worse off than they were when they clicked the video, basically. So yeah, 37 here. I want to quickly go over these really potent words. Now I've chosen to kind of link them together and just talk about them both at the same time, because they're heavily interlinked and interdependent on each other. So we have this overpopulation, quote unquote, truth that's been built within this entire reality bubble that has really been propagated, funded, promoted, and cherry-picked all around for things that really just only align with that belief structure in a way that they have already ensured will be very profitable to those who are building structure. It's a business. It's a negative structuring alignment. And so it's very, very controlled. And it's all must prove that it's profitable in order to keep it going, because all of those involved have focused this on being something that has a negative feedback loop. It has a vault to fill. If you didn't see my last video on service and intention, I'll link that. You can check that out if you're looking for more information about like what service is and negative systems and stuff. But the whole overpopulation reality bubble that these that the tiers, the top has kind of delegated down to us and totally just told us this is the way it is, right? Because it's a top-down hierarchy. So from the top comes down the instructions that it's overpopulated. Now, not many of us are going to really actually go back and say, well, let's look at the real data to see if it is actually overpopulated. So much of the structuring and the mind control within the matrix and the indoctrination is just you take from authority above you as is. You don't question it because they are giving it to you and that's the way it is. There's a need to know and there's an acceptance of authority handing down information as is that really says to the underperson that is enslaved that they incorporate it into their slave model app and run the program. They have no coding capabilities to go in there and change the structuring of the program that's to run. They don't even have a concept of that. They take it and install it and run it because that's what the slave model says to do. Anyways, this is what has happened, and we have built over decades now, maybe even 100 years at least. Yeah, over 100 years actually. With with the Rockefellers and all of this kind of stuff that they've been toning and changing society, and really interlocking and mingling medicine, academia, higher learning, science, research, publishing worlds, how we share information, like through media sources, and even through, like I said, like the publishing of books, and who gets to share information through their public school systems and stuff like that. All of that has really already been totally marketed and done, and it's already all in full steam rolled past, and it's created this truth of the world is overpopulated. There's too many people having too many babies, and especially in the more in like the third world countries or in the underdeveloped areas, they really, to us in the first world, quote unquote, they really have kicked this distorted reflection and made us all feel it's trapped us in this, like, another version of the slave model, the victim and the abuser sort of thing. And they get us at this stage where it's like this, instead of being a real cycle of circles to where, we are both the victim and the abuser, and we can learn from it, and we can heal and move on because we're on the same playing field energetically as beings. They have this tiered effect where it's top down, and so it moves like this, and you're sometimes this way and you're sometimes this way, but they never connect to heal each other. They're never on equal grounds to actually work together and heal and move forward. It's always a higher up, the herder and the victim, and it's always top down, and the bigger hurts the smaller, and then the smaller turns around and that smaller hurts the even smaller, right? It's a dominoes sort of effect of negative chains of energy. It isn't the same as a torus of feeding information to newness and incorporation. And anyways, I'm getting totally off on a tangent again. But it's so important that we understand the mechanisms that are at work, and these foundational illusions, delusions that they create and force on us, so that we don't even realize the truth and systems and the truth in interactions that's happening. We're just locked into this hierarchy of here we're here and this is this, and we only see it from this view where they look like stairs like this. But if you took the eagle's eye view and you look down at stairs, well, they're this way, and they're actually almost look like they're at the equal sides. It's all about perception and perspective, okay? And the amount of distance that you can pull yourself away from something to see the bigger picture, to disengage, and to really just see things as they are from all angles without these preconceived expectations of what you think the stairs look like. But, and myself, I'm including myself because I got wrapped up in that reality bubble as well. I went to university. I was in university early 2000s, graduated 2012, even went back. I was going to do, I was really in a march to go through all of their little paper doorways and get all their little hats and degrees along the way and do all the right things that they say. And I was fed so much of this, that the world is overpopulated, that the better, more educated way, this like higher society kind of looking down at low class, that happens in the first world. They have the same parallels. The first world going to look down at the third world in that way and class them as savages and say, oh, they just have too many babies because they don't know what life's about. They don't know how great workers they could be. So they have a bunch of babies. And it's just like, to me, that never resonated with me, but it was really heavily pushed upon me as well. So anytime that you would say any kind of thing that went against the indoctrination that's the way it is, you just get laughed at or belittled, or say that it's not a good business model, it's not profitable, it doesn't make sense. Statistically, they bring it all back to statistics and try to choose the parameters to look at that, and like you could put life and purpose and meaning in a graph. You can't. I've said this so many times. It's like saying that you're going to study butterfly in flight, and you go and grab one out of the sky and pin it down, and you start dissecting its wings, and you get into the joints of it, and you pull it all apart on pegs, and you keep it dead there. You're learning nothing about the flight and the life of a butterfly by doing that. You've killed it. You've ruined it. Anyways, that's a bit of what's happening, and that's, anyways. The subject at hand is much like that. They are, I'm not saying, that the world isn't facing issues, and that perhaps some people have too many children, or that people don't have enough kids even. That's a whole other issue the world is facing. I'm not saying that no human anywhere hasn't done anything wrong to the earth, or that the earth isn't in response to human action, and that some of the things that happen, some of the weather, some of the changes and things, could have been performed differently if life had evolved differently. But the promotion that's being offered in this little reality bubble that they all believe, and the white coats preach, and all the professors in academia world all put their little stamps of agreeance on top of, and then they force feed you. It isn't the whole picture. It isn't at all. And this is so important, and this is what the interlinking of the two, right? It's because they've gotten everybody, and they promoted everything in the Matrix to agree to this and to see it in their way, that now they can offer their solution to it. And that's, like I've said, this has already been steamrolled over. This is all in the past. Hindsight's 2020 for so many people now. And for some people like me who woke up like earlier in life, I will say that we've seen this coming along. They've been telling it, writing books about it for 40 years at least. And so it shouldn't really be a surprise, because they've been propagating their solution to their hypothetical overpopulation issue as depopulation. We're going to get rid of people. We have to. That's the only way that they see fit as a solution to their problem, because they don't want to know, they don't want to acknowledge and realize and accept that the issues are the negative structure systems that they've all built, the industries, the way that they function, the energetics of them. It's enslavement, and it's a prison function. They want to keep the prison running because they own it and they built it, and it's their baby. It's their bread and butter. And so of course they're never going to say, well, the whole foundation's cracked and it's built on bad land, and it's about to like fall into the earth, into a swamp area or something. They don't want that. What they want to do is blame all the inmates inside there and say, you weren't good enough, and we wasted our time and resources on focusing on you, and now everything's crumbling around us. We didn't really expect this. We didn't know this was going to happen. We didn't know about the upkeep of the building. We didn't know we built it on a swamp ground because we were so concerned with you, prisoners, and your welfare and how you should be acting, that we didn't notice this. However, they knew the whole thing the whole time. That's the only place that they can build, because they're rotten and their system is rotten, and so it has to be built on rotten ground. Or the illusion of rotten ground, because you can't have rotten ground in the organic, beautiful paradise that we live in here. But they've created this, they've really harnessed in this holographic illusion. And it's an energetic, it's not just holographic, don't mean that pinpointing that we're in a simulation or something like that. That's a great possibility, but it's just a visualization for us to understand a metaphor, right? It's because they will never do that kind of understanding, because they are reliant on the prison, that of course their solution isn't never going to be to take the prison down and let everybody free and see what they build out there on their own, and how they can respond to the changes that are taking place. Their thing is, well, we have to just kill some of the prisoners. Like, we can't afford them anymore. And we can't keep an eye on all of them either, which I think is a big portion of it. You can't... They're trying to control the literal uncontrollable. You're trying to bottle infinity, and you're trying to predict infinite manyness. And so it's very intricate and very difficult to try to do that, right? And if even one infinite being knows their potentiality, if even one prisoner in the system, say, knows that you could think your way right out of the walls and just walk out anytime you wanted to, um, there'd be a big problem, right? So this is the kind of thing we're up against. This is the kind of metaphor that we're facing, and the reasons that they're doing. They had this whole overpopulation over many years. They've really installed these truths, quote unquote, to so many people, that they need everybody to really go along with that so that they can really take the measures that they've taken. I feel like they knew kind of that Agenda 2020 needed to be bumped into 30, and that it was going to be way too quick, and it would rustle way too many, it would awaken too many people, ruffle too many feathers, I guess, and so they've elongated it a little bit and pushed it out, and now they're really kicking up the external reasons about why the depopulation techniques have been put into place, right? They want to feel justified, and they want to have sort of like explanations, little lawyer loopholes to say, oh, well, we told you all about this, but you agreed to overpopulation, and you agreed, to all these speeches and all these things we've been talking about for the last 10 years, saying that we could if we do a really great job with the X, Y, and Z. Everybody's seen the speech, right? If we do a really great job with these things, then we could see a decrease in population. But nobody ever really put that and took it into the direct world and said, wait, what are you exactly promoting and talking about here? How does that affect me directly? What does that look like in my community? And I think as more and more people really woke up to that and started to realize, and they had a lot of kickback, they've gotten a different sort of response than they maybe initially had intended, like statistically, for it to really turn out that way. And so they've sort of switched gears a little bit and made it more more apparent, right? We got this great scandemic, and we got this great kind of swap out that happens that makes it look like maybe deaths are something to do with something else that they're not, and just to avert blame, sort of, because they know they have all these sort of lawyer loopholes built into the works that will sort of absorb some of the kickback and sort of calm and pacify a lot of the sheep who will be very excited, feeling they're in threat and seeing a lot of them dying around them. They're going to use they are using already this sort of lube to kind of like smooth it through. Now those of us who've seen the whole thing and who've listened to this are watching, and we're like, wow, how would you fall for that? It seems so distorted, and it seems really what's the word for, like, jazzed up, like really Hollywood style. It's really made up. It's really exaggerated, and it's been promoted into a whole kind of trendy, hip thing. It's odd, but it makes sense for versions of this, unfortunately, of the slave model, that they really, really fuel themselves on that sort of external validation of society, and it's a really immature sort of peer pressure kind of echo chamber that you put yourself in, and you put yourself on display. And a lot of people do that, and social media has really been a big pedestal for those attention seekers, and those people who really need the limelight on them all the time, right? Who are really insecure with their own selves, or feeling unworthy, or feeling unseen, need attention. those social medias and the internet and everything right in the palm of your hand has been like a giant pedestal to put these people into this sort of reflective echo chamber in their direct world, to where they feel like Hollywood, to where they feel like they're on the screen and they're in this sort of portrayal of being that's it's a bad feedback loop to really get into. But so many people are in it, and it is played into their hand and into this whole depopulation thing right on the money in a couple of different angles and categories. It's like dominoes. And I'm not sure if it was this episode or a previous episode that I was talking about, but the negative agenda, the way they set structures up in the matrix with choice points and options, is they have all like dominoes stacked all behind them. If you choose this one, that one, that one, that one, and if that one hits off on this certain thing, then off to that way it goes. They have them all marked out, as long as you stay within their markings. If you're unpredictable, if you don't choose the doors they're promoted to you, if you say, wait a minute, I see a different one, or I'm going to choose this one instead, or back up and turn around, or whatever. If you do something that's, human, organic, if you just choose what's best for you, if you don't go with the pressurized flow, but you're conscious and awake in your own life, and you see, wait a minute, I don't even need any of these doors. I'm outside. There's just these doors here, and I think I have to go through any of them. I'm walking over there. Like, it's a beautiful ocean over there with a beach. I'm going over there. If you're unpredictable, you're not going to fall into their traps, and you're not going to be controlled. And right now, it's a huge thing because, like I said, it's a steamroller. Their whole agenda is really going full steam ahead, because it's about to crumble. And if they don't fix the prison, if they don't get like all of the weight out of these excess prisoners, and they're going to sink into the swampy ground, or whatever, in that metaphor I was using, right? And conversely, if too many of the prisoners realize what's going on, before they get the bodies out, and before everybody's had time to take in poisons and have them react, and everybody's had time to do all of these other things that they're really hoping and thinking that we're all going to do, right? If we don't react in their responses, then if all the prisoners woke up, they'd be screwed. This is kind of like the real tipping point to where, are we waking up or are we not? Because the cage is going to drop. And this time, when they rebuild this prison, or they get their little measures in, and they have a way less population of prisoners to worry about surveillance on, it's not going to be so much out of their control web to get everybody stuck in there and really have an eagle's eye view on all of them. And that in itself is really what they want, It's not that the world is overpopulated. It's that their prisons are overpopulated, and they can't control large populations, especially when we've got one or two awake, and they're blinking off like beacons, alerting and awaking people around them. It's not suitable to the business model, right? And that's why it's so important that we always pull back, and we always remember that this is a business to them. It is run just like that. There's energetic books, just like there's a financial books kept. There's interactions of give and take, and the way that it's set up for them, and the stranglehold of the negative that they have, is all about hoarding more and getting in more, and that they need the most to survive. And so it's really crucial that we wake up to that and we just exit. We don't worry about trying to get the prison guards to turn a new leaf, or get the CEOs and the board to rewrite how it's structured, or start planning how we're going to pick the prison up and move it to a new location because this one's bad. Everybody out. Just get the fuck out. Get out of the cities. Get out of the matrix as best as you can. Because if you don't, their truths are going to be slammed upon you, and their overpopulation, their depopulation tactics are going to just keep coming at you and keep coming at you until, either you're one of the few left in there, and you're settling for a life of servitude and enslavement inside the matrix, 24-hour surveillance of everything from your biometrics in your thought world and to everything, that you do outside of the world, being monitored, tracked, traced, categorized, put into their little things, their little measurement structures, their little statistic models, so that your number can, be on more than the medium lining of, better than average, and you can get more free time, you can get more yard time, you can get more, whatever, food choices. That seems like a very silly idea to me. I hope it does to you as well. And so really, let's call it for what it is. That's the best thing that we can do. And to just say that if anybody is preaching and speaking these truths from this bubble reality of overpopulation that's been really kind of cemented down into this world, they are consenting to depopulation. They are consenting to this restricted parameters of life, I guess, is the best way to say it. And with that kind of consent, unfortunately, comes servitude to the system. It comes the relinquishing of your sovereignty. And so for most of us, I would hope, and especially people on this channel, that's the last thing we ever want to do. We don't ever want to relinquish sovereignty. We've learned so many lessons about sovereign worth and about what that individual light within each of us is, what that soul purpose is, what that little fractal piece is all about. And we don't want to lie about it or distort it. That's painful, and it's counterintuitive to everything that encompasses being alive. So why would I start off with a lie? Many people are continuing to, and you can't force or change anybody. They can only see it within themselves and recognize it or deny it. That's their own life's purpose. That's their, conversation with consent happening. If you don't consent to it, people don't, then, you get out of it. Doors open up within your own world, and your own direct circumstances will unfold and get you away from it and keep you away from it. And if you stay positive and you stay connected, you will see opportunities that are good, that work to your benefit and that work to your highest good, and that keep you safe and supported and fed and watered and all, and in a shelter of some sort, outside and completely separate from the BS matrix. And I speak from total examples because I've seen that shift and that working open up for me in my own life, and it seeing that happen and feeling that worth in there, in my own worth, and recognizing and accepting that, it gives great courage, and it gives you that courage to get up again, and it gives you that courage to be able to look over there at the matrix, or whenever you feel the pullings, or whenever you feel mind control things coming in, or maybe you still have a bit of a slave model even installed in you, and you feel these little notifications and alerts going off once in a while. Instead of ignoring them or answering them or clicking on them and getting a reaction out of them, you see them, you accept them, you wait with them, and then when you're prepared and when it's on your time, on your dime, with service to others in mind and your intentions, right, you turn the lens inward and you go with introspection, meditation, and you look at those things with clarity for what they truly are, what they really signify, and what they're pulling on, and you go to the roots and you do the work there. And that's how, and that kind of thing is continual work. That takes up all every day. Every day I have to go and do pruning and go and spend time and listen and hear and get in there and say, oh, what is that thing, and why, and move through it, see it, accept it, understand it, see the workings that are there, that it's offered, give thanks for that working, and release it. Now I've gone, oh my goodness, 35 minutes in this episode. I tried to do an episode already on this subject, and I did the same thing. I talked for too long, and so I didn't think I would air it. And now here I am doing the same thing. And so I think I might just keep it this where it is and just leave it. It's such a giant topic that how do you not talk about it for so long? And it's so pressing on all of us, and it's very reactive. It's a real catalyst. You know, it's a very explosive catalyst that they're adding in. And I just feel like if we're doing a disservice to ourselves if we don't really acknowledge it for what it is, and we don't see that the huge delusion that they've created to force these sort of extreme reactions upon us, when in fact we're not facing these huge unprecedented problems in the real organic life and in the structure of how real positive systems of give and take and sharing and real equality and organic interactions, right? Symbiotic relationships. Biology calls it that. I love those biological phrases, you know, seeking homeostasis within structures. If we follow the organic models that biology should actually be teaching us, instead of stealing them and trying to hijack them and manipulate them into personal control mechanisms, if we witness them and we follow them, we would find, you know, we will find, and this is the thing, they don't want us to do any of this, but more of us are waking up and more of us are seeing the potentialities that whole looks like. And we want that whole instead. You know, we don't like this whole. And of course, yeah, your prisons all along the world in each of these like densely places, I'm sure your prisons are overpopulated. I'm sure they are really causing a lot of catastrophes. And I'm well sure that your structurings and your matrix has created the changes in the climate, in the weather, and these sort of promotions of extreme cases because they benefit your system, and they benefit and go right along with the whole depopulation theme that really needs to be accepted in order to happen for them at the right moments, right? If more and more of us prisoners wake up before they go for it, well, you know, but the time's ticking because it's very close to the end now. And by very close, I don't mean like by the end of the week or in June or July or something that I'm trying to say something is like tagging down that's going to happen. In the long scope and reality, I still think we've just made the middle marker. But the downhill is very quick, and it's crashing at the bottom, right? And so like if we don't get off before too much momentum happens in this like down race, before the cart crashes at the bottom, we're going to just burn up with the crash, right? We're going to be taken and injured. But here we are at the middle and cresting. This is the perfect time. Everybody out, hop out, get out of the boat. The rats are all leaving the boat. The ship's going down, right? If you orchestrate your hopping off now, you know, you'll have time to swim away and you're not going to be caught up in the Titanic sinking. But yeah, that iceberg's been hit a while ago. And yeah, I guess that's where I'll leave it at for now. Thanks so much for listening, for sticking with me for 40 minutes if you did. Bless you for your time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody who listens and watches my videos. You know, not only do I appreciate your audience for witnessing my journey, but really all of you out there, I appreciate your personal journey and your little mosaic fractal tile that you are, you know. Know that, you know, you're special just as you are, just as I am, and that we have a beautiful support and energetic conversation and communion space that's created that is outside of space and time, right? And it's always here, and it doesn't matter what day you're watching this or when. Just know that you're not alone. And, you know, if you're teetering on the edge of the Titanic thinking, oh, should I jump or not? I can't say what decision is correct for you, but I can say that if your fear is that if you jump, you're alone, know that you're not. We've got rafts over there. All you have to do is have the courage to jump. and make that choice to swim over. So yeah, I'm going to leave this comprehending consciousness, oh my goodness. I'm going to leave this comprehending consciousness episode here. I hope, you'll tune in to me next time. Or you can always find me on A. Marie Speaks if you're looking for me in the meantime. You can go directly to that website or find me on Telegram, same name. And yeah, I guess I'll just catch you around next time.